Akalli leads with the Magnezone into the opposing Gliscor. And of course Magnezone is forced out here, but Akalli has actually quite a lot of checks for this Gliscor in the back. He has Mamoswine, he has Mew, depending on the set, maybe it has Ice Beam. So let's just see what those two people decide to go for. Gliscor can freely go for Stealth Fox here, in my opinion. In case he has it, maybe he has rocks on his Mamoswine or Skarmory and this is his Defogger, which could be possible. But having Scizor and Zapdos, it's not a must-have on Gliscor. So Akalli switches out his Magnezone into Mew, which is just a safe play. And Gliscor is actually a Stealth Rocker. And at this point we don't really know yet which set Mew is, but he just revealed the Defog, and the leftovers also has quite a lot of speed investment if it's able to outspeed the Gliscor, so Ice Beam comes out, and KillaLeston doesn't care at all about this, but it chips his Gliscor quite a lot, doing 90%, so maybe it was not the correct choice to stay in there. But he just wants to have his rocks out again, but Mew can just freely defog again. So he didn't really get much value out of this Gliscor. But let's see. He goes into Porygon Z, which is the main threat to Akalli's team. And it actually is download and gets a special attack rose, so this Mew is most likely more physical defensive oriented, because if you guys didn't know, download increases either the special attack or the attack stat of your Pokemon, and it's based on your opponent's defenses. So if your opponent's physical defense is higher, then it boosts your special attack, and if your opponent's special defense is higher, it boosts your attack. So we see this Mew is physical bulky more than special bulky, and Tri-Attack does actually not do that much, so I think this might be Scarfed, which is very good news for Akalli in my opinion, because it's a lot less threatening just knowing it's Scarfed. But nonetheless, Mew is forced out here, cannot stay in, and Magnezone should take one or two Tri-Attacks, actually takes two, and is free to go for a Flash Cannon at this point. Gliscor is damaged too much to safely switch into. Skarmory and Scizor, I don't know about that. And Zapdos, okay, it's actually not that easy to go for a Flash Cannon Volt Switch, might be the play here. But let's see what he decides to go for. He goes for a Volt Switch and actually gets a crit. And he can safely bring in Mamoswine, which just keeps pressuring the opponent's team. We see the leftovers on the Zapdos, which confirms pretty much that it's defensive. And yeah, switching to Skarmory, I think we get to see the set of the Mamoswine now. It's knockoff, which means it's probably 4 attacks, and judging by the damage, it could be Banded Mamoswine. Yeah, that definitely did too much when we consider that there's no Life Orb damage, so yeah. knocks off the Shed Shell, which is quite amazing because now Skarmory always has to fear the Magnezone, which just comes in right away. Akalli doesn't want to waste time on that one, but KillaLeston, yeah, just brings on his Porygon Z, gets another special attack rose. And I don't know if Porygon Z can one-shot Magnezone at this point. I don't think so, because most of them run Tri-Attack, T-Bolt and Ice Beam. So Magnezone is actually in a quite favorable position here once again. But he actually decides to switch out into his Tangrowth on the Dark Pulse. And this did a lot, and this Tangrowth is physical defensive. Maybe he expected a switch into the Mamoswine or something, or maybe the Scizor. And so Tangrowth was his play, but yeah, if he expected the Porygon Z to stay in, I think he just went for the... Yeah. So Akalli just goes into Togekiss knowing that Porygon Z is most likely Scarfed, of course. So he's locked into Dark Pulse, and Togekiss just gets a free move to click here. We also didn't see the leftovers on Togekiss, so it might be Scarfed as well. And there's the Flamethrower actually taking out the Zapdos. Didn't expect that, to be honest, so maybe this Togekiss could be Specs. I'm not quite sure about this, though. I can calculate real quick to see if we can gain further information. But man, I actually didn't expect this to kill. Yeah, this should be Choice Specs. And it lifts the Ice Beam, which is pretty amazing, and just kills the Porygon Z right away with the Flamethrower. So Akalli's in a pretty good position here, taking down Porygon Z and the opposing Zapdos. But now Mamoswine comes in freely, and knowing that Gliscor already showed this Stealth Rocks, Mamoswine should be another 4 attacks Mamoswine. Also, he doesn't show the Life Orb, which makes me think it's either Scarfed or Bandit. I tend to say Bandit because he already has a Scarfed Porygon Z. But of course it's not bad to run double Scarf on a team. I just don't think it's necessary in the current metagame, but for a tournament, maybe to catch your opponent off guard, it could be very valuable. So Magnezone comes in. Akalli also thinking this Mamoswine is locked into Ice Shot. And actually, I think Flash Cannon should be pretty safe here. Wow, that did actually nothing. I expected more. Here comes the spikes. Mew coming right in though to maybe defog them away. Also, we didn't see the full moveset of the Mew yet, we only saw Defog and Ice Beam. So it's quite likely that he also carries the Will-O-Wisp, which denies the Scizor and Mamoswine switch, and if he actually wants to predict this here, and he does, and it lands, which is very amazing for Akalli because he just made the Scizor much less threatening. So U-turn comes out. U-turn comes out, actually does not too much, but still a lot, to be honest. considered that his scissor is burnt. So this might actually be banded. So Gliscor comes in once again, and I think this Mew just is in a very good position. He will do a lot more with it now. Here's the switch back into Scizor. On the Ice Beam. Gets a crit. And now we just see the Roost once again on the knockoff, so I don't know if this helps too much, but it's for sure is a good start to take down the Mew, but man, this is just causing way too many problems for Leston at this point. This is the defog, so spikes are gone once again, and Mew has a free choice of moves to pick here, either Will-O-Wisp, Ice Beam. Leston not going for the Roost here, so I don't know how much Ice Beam will do, but this could have put him in range. Scizor comes back out in the defog, and yeah, Leston pretty much gains nothing from this, from all these turns, and Akalli just doing a great job in just keeping this Mew in and pressuring the opposing team. So back in comes the Gliscor, but it's always threatened by this Ice Beam. It did 90% earlier, so he's far away from being out of range. Back in the Skarmory on the Roost. And now he's for sure in range of Ice Beam. Yep. So Skarmory goes down, and this just doesn't look too good for Leston at this point. Scizor comes back in, but as we saw, it cannot really damage the Mew. He just goes for Ice Beam, getting this additional damage. U-turn doing 43. And once again, Akalli just can go for an Ice Beam or a Roost. I think he always prefers Roost here, just in case the Mamoswine comes in, and Gliscor showing the Toxic. Man, it's a bit too late for this. You should have shown this earlier, in my opinion. But maybe he was scared of the Ice Beam earlier, so I can understand this play. Ice Beam comes out once again. And this Mew almost took down the Scizor on his own at this point. One more Ice Beam plus burn damage, and it should seal the deal for the Scizor. Here comes the Tangrowth into the U-turn. And this did nothing, despite the fact that it's super effective from a choice banded Scizor, but burned? You're not that great anymore. So let's see, Mamoswine comes in, and I think at this point Icicle Crash kills for sure. Yes. Akalli just lets it die just to gain back the momentum and be able to bring in... Let's see what he has on his team left. Magnezone? Yeah, he brings in a Magnezone. And as we saw, it should be... Was it Scarfed or Specs damage on Skarmory? I don't remember. But if it's Scarfed, it can very well just tweet the Gliscor on the switch in. Specs might not be enough. Scizor cannot switch in as well because it's at 20%, so that's not an option either. But let's just see what they decide to do here. KillaLeston just sacks the Scizor at this point. Understandable. Scizor basically didn't do anything for him. And yeah, he brings in safely the Gliscor. So Magnezone is forced out once again. And with Akalli having Mew in the back, it would always be a safe play, but as we saw earlier, it's toxic. So that limits a bit of his plays there. So Zapdos comes out on the EQ. And let's see if the Zapdos is Hidden Power Ice, or if it's a more defensive one. I think it could be HP Ice though. Oh, never mind. Because Mew is defog, so he doesn't need defog on Zapdos, which gives him a free slot in his moveset. So yeah, that's that. But maybe he just predicted the switch into Mamoswine, which could also be a good play. But he gets in Mamoswine for free, which just Icicle crashes. Even if Leston switches in Mamoswine at this point, it will get chipped. And repeating the cycle 2 or 3 times, he will just win. Unless something like that happens. So crit into Icicle crash, oh my god. Crit into Icicle crash miss. That's huge. That's actually huge. Oh my, I would be so mad at Akali's plays in Akali's position right now. So the Icicle crash would have just killed the Gliscor and ensured Akalli the win. But now it's in range of EQ, which is horrible. And he has to preserve his Mamoswine for later, which is... it's just... very annoying for him. So here comes another U-turn. Just to bring in the Mamoswine for free, or the Mew. And... let's see what he wants to do here, if he either Ice Beams or predicts the Mamoswine and the Will-O-Wisps. And he actually makes the correct play, just going for the Ice Beam here. Chipping the Gliscor down to 5%, 70% after the Poison Heal. And now he can again either go for the Ice Beam or the Will-O-Wisp. And at this point it's just who makes the right play. I feel like Leston is a bit behind, but it's definitely possible for him to still win this game. Unless the Magnezone is scarfed. But he locks himself into Ice Shard here, so he's most likely banded. And Magnezone just comes in and claims 1 Pokemon in return, and I think this should be the game. Or is it? Mamoswine goes down. Leston only has his 17% Gliscor left. We finally get to see if this Magnezone is Scarf or Specs. And it's Scarfed, and that's just the game. So GG to Akalli and KillaLeston.